one. The very first thing that I want to tell everybody about spell work or tools for spell work or what you think you need is the only thing you actually need is yourself. That is like the only thing you actually need. Everything else we bring to spells is just additional things that vibrate at the level that you're trying to bring to your spell. So for self-love, bringing amethyst and rose quartz, you bring those to your spell area because they also vibrate the thing that you're looking for. So everything that we add to our spell space, I'm going to call it that, elevates the vibration of everything. So whatever we're looking for, we bring the things that help with that outcome, or they vibrate on that same level of what we're looking for as an outcome. So things that are associated with prosperity, like pine cones and actual money, coins, change, the color gold, bringing all of those into your circle or your space while you're doing your spell, it helps raise the vibration of it. So for tools, the very first thing and the only thing you really need is yourself, and that's your mind and going into your focus of energy. As we shift our energy focus into looking for our outcome, that is where the magic happens. That is really the only thing you need to create change, your mind. If anybody knows Joe Dispenza, I've got this whole thing with lots of resources, so you don't have to write everything down, but Joe Dispenza's research in the last 30 years has proven that with our own minds, we can change energies around us, within us. It is phenomenal. I absolutely love it because it doesn't just take belief anymore. You can see it in science that we can change things using just the focus of our energy. So that is the one thing, the only really thing that you need to bring to a spell. Everything else is going to be additional items that make you feel good, that bring your emotion up. So the next thing with bringing our focus is bringing our emotion up. We want our vibration to rise to this level of, I always think of gratitude because it makes me the most open and like really happy. But it could be, if you're thinking protection, like you might be very stern and imagining a solid wall or a foundation or something that really protects you. But anything that you can use in your mind's eye to create the emotion, that is like key. So you've got focus and you've got bringing your emotion to it. Anything physical that you want to bring into your space is totally up to you. I wrote down resources of like books that would have, plants, herbs, crystals, colors, candles, spaces even. Where do you go to do your spell? Casting a circle even. Oh gosh, okay. Let me go back to my agenda. I'm getting excited and ahead of myself. So the most important thing to bring is yourself, your focus, your emotions, your intention on what you want. Keep it small and simple. So that's probably part of it. Keeping it small and simple means you're not doing a spell that involves a 5-step process of things that you want. Like it's not, I want a new job and a car and I want to live somewhere else in one spell. That would be too many things to focus on at once. When you first start, think about one small thing you want to change. Maybe you just want to get rid of your negative self-talk. Like my mom, I'll just call her out. My mom, when she first moved around me, she used to say, I'm so dumb. I'm so stupid. and I used to go, Mom, stop. Why do you say that? Like, you're going to attract that. Then you are going to be stupid. You are going to be dumb. Like, whoa, we're going to cut that out. So I just had to tell her, you're not going to negative self-talk anymore around me, at least. Like, I'm going to call you out on it every time I hear you say something that is negative about yourself. So just that really jump-started her looking into herself for self-love. Why do I say that about myself? And the worst part, she doesn't remember saying it. It was so automatic for her to think it of herself. She would just blurt it out at the most awkward times. Like, okay, Mom, let's not. So forgot where I was going with that. If I know Trent knows me, I'm
like manifestation energy.
Yeah, the smallness of your spell to start with. Focus on something very, very small. So I don't know how quickly you guys want to jump into your spell work, but if somebody could give me an example of a spell you've thought about doing, not that you've ever done it, but a spell that you've thought about doing. Trent, will you go first?
My mom has a very self-confidence for my mom, trying to find her spirit again.
Sure.
So a spell like that for someone. Yeah.
Yes. So in thinking about that, because that could be very, very big, right? Confidence, self-love, there could be a lot of different elements, but one that you could fine tune would say helping her find her intuitive side, like helping her listen to her intuitive side. And then it's just, you make it as short as possible. And then that becomes the thing that you just say over and over and over again in your spell. Well, not in your spell, but while you're in your space.
Right.
Okay. Laura, what about you? What spell might you have thought about doing?
Well, what I'm working on, is sewing these pieces that I do. They're like a little they're like a worry bead or something you could carry in your pocket. And every time you touch it, you'll be reminded of what it says about you. And I stitch the sigils on them. And
Yes.
so I'm working with my son now, trying to get one for him. And I asked him to think about either something he wanted to amplify in his life or bring into his life. And he came back to me with, well, I want peace and understanding. And I'm like, son, that's far too broad. Let's work that down. Let's work that down. Let's get down to I'm trying to work on getting things to be simple, explicit like that.
Yes.
So I said, how does that go for you? How do you envision that? And he says, well, he says, my current mantra is, yes, thank you. And I said, that's good. So does that mean that Graham is thankful? Is that what you want? Graham is grateful. Is that, would that be the thing you want? So I'm trying to learn and trying to help him narrow it down to simplicity, to be the one thing that you really want. People, they start off with a big, broad thing.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I can't, that. Or maybe I could, but not yet, let's say.
Not yet. That's a better way to put it. It's not that you ever can't, it's that not yet, for sure. Okay, Christina, what spell have you ever thought about doing?
So I've thought a lot about maybe doing some sort of protection spell to keep the people that I love safe, because, yeah, especially now, but also just like accidents happen and that's never fun. So
yeah. And what about for yourself? Do you ever think about doing a protection spell for yourself?
Yeah, I've considered that too.
I love it. As new witches, we're always looking at how we can help our other people first, and we sort of turn to helping ourselves last. But one of the things that I definitely talk about towards the end of this, but I'll bring it up now, is working on yourself first will make your magic so much stronger. And understanding where you are, a lot of the answers that I got for the admittance question, almost every single person, it was about their mental state, their intent, having clearness of their thoughts or their mind. That all comes from inner work. That all comes from taking care of us first, then taking care of other people. It's that whole, I'm going to get it wrong, oxygen masks. It's the oxygen mask analogy, right? We got to put our own on first and then do it for others. Yeah. I was thinking of another mask and I'm like, airplane. What is on an airplane? The oxygen masks. I definitely began the same way. I saw people in my environment who really needed a lot of help, and that made me focus my spell work on doing for others. And then I guess I got to a point where I was alone because everybody had moved on, or, I moved to a new place, and I thought, oh man, all right, I think I need to start doing some stuff for me. I need to feel safe and protected. I need to, find a better relationship or feel comfortable in my home or whatever it is. So it wasn't until I was alone, like in a new place, new town, didn't know anybody, where I started focusing mostly on myself. And then that became like a 10-year obsession. So being solitude allowed me to go inside of myself in a deep manner that I really didn't talk to anybody about it either, because I was figuring it out. I'm like, I don't want to tell people this yet because I don't understand it. So consider doing stuff for yourself also, little spells. I'm going to give some examples of how to do small spells for yourself, charms, or you could say an incantation, but it's just words and energy. Okay, so we've talked about the tools, and the prep work is next, which prep work for me is where you do your space, collecting your items if you know what you want, and then like sitting down in the space where you're going to do this stuff. There was so Pamela, who's not here. Okay. Pamela, she brought up something interesting, and I forget that people do ceremonial circles still, because I have never been in that world. But a ceremonial circle would be like really official. You know, you might actually draw out a circle, you would call to the four corners, or you would do the four elements. You would really set up this stage in ceremonial circles. I am a practical magic practitioner. My stuff is on a whim. I go outside in my yard, or I go to a park, or I go to the beach. I mean, I just, and the only circle that I cast is like this. So if you want to know more about ceremonial magic, where you want that whole effect, the big, big thing, which is a lot to remember also, just warning you guys, you're going to want to look into actual Wicca. So Wicca describes the rules and the boundaries for creating the sacred circle, for reading their I was going to say mantra, it's not a mantra, their thing, their statement. I forget what it is. Gosh, I'm not Wiccan. I'm just a witch. But so when you get to the place where you want to do your spell, you find your area, you're going to try to find the most grateful part of yourself that opens up your heart. This comes through meditation. This is why I talk about like the self-discovery is really important, so that you can quiet your mind, so that you can find that inner peace, so that you can just relax and breathe and get ready to really focus your intention on the thing that you want to change in the world. So you're bringing and raising your vibration to change the vibration of other things out in the world. That is the spell. The magic is the act of manipulating energy in our environment. The spell is the things we do to create that magic, to manipulate the energy in our environment. So all these words really flow together, with the spell being the things that you put together, the magic being the effect. That's what goes out into the universe that changes the other energy. So when you get to your space and you've decided like this is a perfect piece of grass, or under this tree is amazing, or the beach at the rising moon is perfect for me. Now you sit and you find your peace in yourself, because the last thing you want to do is have, things flooding into your head, like a show or a bill or somebody you didn't call back, or your phone is dinging because somebody's texting you or calling. I have to shut all my stuff off, put it in airplane mode, because without a doubt, my sister will text me in the middle of something and I have my watch on and be like, ding. I'm like, ah. So I have to take all of my electronic things and put them on airplane mode. I still keep them by my side, but I have them off and set away so that they can't disturb me. So you're in this space, you've come to this calm center. They say a center. I really just think of it as like really feeling this openness in my heart of like, the whole world is so damn magical. Like there are so many miracles that happen all the time. And that if this really was from a big bang and we all got organized into what we are, holy moly, like there is, the bigness of it. And so I just open myself up to that. And then my mind is kind of blown and in that like, whoa, anything is possible. That's where I get myself to. For each of you, it might be different. Music definitely helps for me. I've added in some channels on YouTube that it's like 8 hours. It'll never pause on you, which is perfect. So that you can have music going in the background if that helps you focus. Any kind of chime music. The waves at the beach help me. I love that. It gets me into kind of the flow of like repeating stuff over and over. So you've found your spot. You've made yourself centered. You've grounded yourself. You've decided on your intention. You're there. Now, what do you say? Oh, universe and stars up above. Oh, holy earth. And whatever you want, literally whatever you want. You can make your spell words anything. I go short and sweet. I want to tell the universe exactly what I want, and I want to be to the point. A couple months ago, we did a protection spell for my sister. She has some exes that act crazy, and the three of us had to get together to do it. And we just wanted to bring as much force as we could. And the three of us trying to remember stuff and say it all together, we probably would have died laughing. I can't say that the focus would have really been there, but in our heads, we could get to that place. And so I gave everybody a picture to imagine in their head. So for her, it was protection. I imagined her in her bed, asleep, safe, like tucked in her covers, just like the most peaceful, safe person you've ever seen. And I pictured that. And then I just kept repeating things like, keep her safe, like let no harm come. And this was just stuff, not rehearsed, but what I felt. I let my emotions take over my mind as far as what I wanted to push out to the universe, and keeping her safe and feeling like she's going to be safe and not letting her worry about her safety. And we just kept going with that. So you get to flow, right? This would be when you're in flow, like all time is gone. You have no idea what's going on around you because you're in this focus. Because we had 3 of us, we used incense to kind of time it because everybody's focus was going to be a little different. You can use a candle. They have things called chime candles, spell candles. They're really small. They burn pretty quickly. They're much better for outside use because a lot of the times it's not a great wax. They want it to burn quickly so it can leave like over time black residue on your walls from the smoke. But this would be another thing that sort of sets the time for your spell. So say you want to, and this is through practice, you want to sit there for 30 minutes, or you want to go as long as you possibly can. This will tell you in time how long you've really been doing it. And it's amazing that once you get in flow, you're like, holy cow, my candle's almost gone. I've really been doing this for like 20 minutes. What? So we also, incense are a great way to do that. And it just sort of helps you keep time or understand when you've done enough. Because there have been times at the end of spells where it's like, did I go long enough? Did I push enough energy out there? Did I create an effect? This can be a confidence booster to say, you go for as long as you can and focus and flow while the candle burns. And if when you open your eyes or when you come to and the candle's still burning, I just sit there and I let it burn all the way down. And I stay in gratitude. I stay in my mood, even though I'm not focused on the spell event anymore. I'm just there letting it all happen, like imagining it radiating out into the universe, these changes that I want to affect until the candle is gone, until the incense burns down. Those are 2 ways that I use sort of a timed, or like to know what you're doing, how long you're doing it. Those 2 things. All right, bringing your emotions. Oh, see, all over the place. For starting and stopping, we started to talk about ceremonial magic, which I am not really familiar with at all, besides looking it up in a book and trying to follow it. Personally, I want you guys to know what I do. I have a candle that smells amazing. First off, I love smells and sounds, and anything that does your 5 senses, it brings it all together. So my thing is I was going to light it actually, and I've lost my matches. I get my candle and then I focus on it and I say, by lighting this candle, I open up connection to my team of light, meaning my spirit guides, anybody on the other side helping me with my magic. I open my 3rd eye and my crown chakra because I want to receive, I want to feel that energy come down through me. And once I light this candle, that's pretty much my ritual starting. That lets the universe know, that lets my spirit guides know I'm starting. This is when it gets serious. Everybody behind me, ready to go? Let's do this. That's my ceremonial start, if you will. You could do anything as long as it means something to you. Lighting a candle, lighting that incense, letting your guides know, letting the universe know, my intention has started. This is the beginning. I'm going to stay in it as long as I can. I'm pushing it out to affect change. And then whenever you're ready, and this is also a hard thing for people. When is the spell done? When are you complete? There's not a bell or a timer that goes off, right? The candle could run out or not run out. The incense could run out or not run out. But when your focus is done, you're done. And let yourself be done. Go, I've given this all the energy that I can. I did what I could and I'm done. So my ending to my ceremony and whatever I do is I grab my candle and I say something to the effect. Now that I'm on the spot, I'm like, what do I say? I'm just like, first off, I thank everything. Thank you for being here with me and hearing me and the guidance and every, blessing in my life, basically. But I've ended it. I don't say closed circle because I don't think of it as a circle, but I'm ending this, or this is done. So mote it be. Any little phrase you want to end it. And then that is also the signal to the universe that they're like, all right, she's done. Let's go make it work. Energy starts running out everywhere to make sure things get done. So the most important thing here to recognize is that each of you can create your own start of your ritual and stop of your ritual. And ritual sounds very formal, but practice. The start of it, the end of it. You decide that. It has to feel good to you. If it doesn't feel good to you, you're not going to believe it. And the whole part of this is getting your mind and that thing that like, it is possible. I believe it to my core. I know that this is going to happen. Getting to that place. So anything that you can add to that makes it more about you, more personal for you, more emotional for you, all helps with the energy pushing out. Okay. Spell words again. I do want to say that I got gifted this little book. Is it the right way for you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And of course, for me, it's backwards. So I have bought a lot of spell books. I love looking at what other people are doing. I never really use them. It's like ideas. But this book was the most to the point, really like comprehensive. I agreed with everything she said, which is so rare. And it was all just very like to the point. It wasn't drawn out forever. Oh my gosh. Now, the part that is relevant for me, only because I really like to see what people are saying, is like this much of the book. This is all the introduction stuff and just the matter of fact stuff that I loved. The rest of this is all spells, example spells of everything you could imagine. Insane. I could never do all this. I would never want to do all those spells, but for inspiration, I don't usually like promote other people's stuff, but it's awesome. Yes, Laura.
Who's the author?
Oh, Ambrosia Hawthorne. Yeah, it's new from last year. So I always try to keep up on the new publishing stuff, is she self-published even? Because it's not from Llewellyn. Of course, Llewellyn I love, but a Rock Ridge Press. So I don't even know who they are, but awesome job getting her published. I think her book was really great. It's probably the only spell book I would recommend to people, only because it's straight and to the point. And she explains things so easily, so easily. So the words and coming up with things to say. There are tons and tons and hundreds of examples out there. Creating your own, there's nothing wrong with it. We've talked about rhyming in this group before. You can make your words rhyme or you cannot make them rhyme, but just know that it has to feel real to you. So if you start off saying something that you wrote down and you tried to remember and it rhymes, and you get halfway through it and you're like, crap, what was that word? What comes next after that? Just go with it. Remember the intention and speak the intention all the way through. You know, if you're just saying protect my sister, if you're just saying give my mom self-confidence and self-love, whatever it is, as long as you follow through with that the whole time, that is the energy that's going to flow out. And that's the most important thing from that. Okay. Do we have any questions thus far? I feel like I'm going fast, or there's a lot. I know there's a lot. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm excited. It's a lot. Oh, so the very end of this is how I always picture myself at the very end with the sitting part. Even when I blow out my candle, I swear the world seems brighter or more magical, or things are glowing. I'm just in this like awe of the universe. Sit in your space for as long as you can and really feel what you've done. Imagine it coming to fruition, whatever it is. See the scenes playing out in your head, whether it's, you know, for my sister, it's that she never has to worry about double checking all her doors, or, you know, changing her phone number, changing her locks on her door, always parking her car in her garage, all these little crazy things because she was afraid somebody was going to get at her, being alone at night in her house, stuff like that. So you imagine the opposite, of course. It's like she's free to come and go as she wants. She could sit outside at 1 a.m. and not be fearful of somebody driving by. Like, I picture her in these very happy, safe moments. And that's what you can just sit and sort of let resonate with you, and then out into the world with it. So the more that you can think about the scenes that are the effects of your magic, the better it is. Those things can start to play out. The universe can see what you're desiring in images, which is, you know, the universe doesn't speak English or Chinese or Italian. It speaks emotion. So the more emotion that we can bring to it, the more that you can feel those moments with the people that you're looking for to help them, or even for yourself, the more that you can feel for yourself that end result of your spell, the better it's going to be. Okay, now you have to pack up all your spell stuff. Depending on what you've brought, it could be a lot. It could be melted candle wax and herbs spread out everywhere. You could have brought, you know, a piece of a tree to burn, or, I mean, the list goes on and on for as far as things you can bring to your spell. So I got out some of my spell stuff. I have a couple. It's new moon, of course, so my magic needs to go back to the earth. My husband got COVID. I think most of you know that, but he got COVID and we both got COVID, of course. But we were better in like 3 days. And then 3 days after that, he got pneumonia and was in the hospital. And it was like terrifying because they gave him a 50-50 chance to live all of a sudden. And it was like yesterday he was walking around fine. It was scary. We've never had this. I've never experienced that. So of course I did the one thing I know how to do. I went home and made a spell after I dropped him off at the ER. And I needed him to have the spell with him. Like something told me, get this in his room with him, have him, and I have to instruct him because he's not a witch, but he absolutely believes in my magic, which is so cute. I love that. But inside of here, I put things that would also help with his lungs. So I've got sticks of cinnamon, which, you know, I buy bulk from Costco, like huge things of cinnamon. This is red jasper stones, which are really good for the blood, the lungs. I can't get it out of here. There we go. That's just raw red jasper, just a stone that I had. We have different rosemary plants, so this is really stuck in there. That's the rosemary. And then I've got this pine, because pine is protectant and it's also very healing. So rosemary is very healing. And these are all these things are associated with like the blood, the lungs, breathing, your airways, health, protection. So I came home, I did a blessing and cleansing over everything. I spoke my intentions to it, ran to the hospital and made the nurses deliver it to his room. And I said, honey, every chance you get, I want you to put your nose in this and I want you to breathe it in. Like, this is my spell to heal you. You have to breathe it in though. So I wish I could have you guys smell this. That'll be future Zooms, right? You can smell the rosemary, the cinnamon, the pine, because there's sap inside of this pine cone that just still smells like a fresh pine tree. And keeping it inside of the jar next to his bed so that he could open it up and breathe this air. Because when you're in the hospital, there's no open windows. They're not letting you go anywhere. You're breathing reventilated air. You're breathing barely cleaned air, whatever. So this was really important to me. And this is just a glass jar, probably from Amazon, that I hold other herbs in. I've got like my herbs stored up there that I dry from my garden. But this is an example of what a spell looks like after you've done it. And this is how I've kept it. And of course, I didn't want to release the spell back to the earth too soon, because what if he got sick again? That's like the worst. So this has just been sitting on his bedside table since he came home from the hospital. We kept it open. He smelled it a couple times. And I asked him, I said, let me know when you think that it's okay to let this go. So what I'll do with the organic material in here, which is the pine cone, the rosemary, and the cinnamon, I will bury that in the earth and ask the earth to take it back and return the energy to where it came from, because I pulled energy into this spell to heal my husband, and now I release it back out. The two jaspers, since it's new moon, I will be setting them out in the new moonlight and cleansing them and just asking them to return to their natural state, remember their purpose, and then I can use them again in the future should I need to. So this is one way to keep your spell items together, a jar, anything. I made this really fancy one for my mom and love her to death, but she never used it. Okay. Super fancy. It was for her. It was a bath for self-love. So I made her a whole spell for it and put all the items together. I grow roses and things. So I've got roses and some other herbs in there, and then sea salts and lavender, again, that I purchased off Amazon. Lavender. This little container is from Goodwill. I love Goodwill for glass containers. Goodwill is one of my favorite places. I like the idea of reuse and reuse. Reduce and reuse. Did I say that the first time? Anyways, she just returned this to me. I gave it to her like 8 months ago. She's like, I'm really sorry. I never did it. I'm like, that's okay. I'll just go return it to the earth. It'll be totally fine. So I wait until new moon to return my spells to the earth. Lastly, you're doing a really small spell. You've got little satchels. These are just little bags that have your stuff in them. This is not a performed spell yet. It's got a green candle. It's got a prosperity sheet in it. It's not important to see it. And it's got citrine, a little raw citrine, and then it's got gold flakes. So this would be a prosperity spell that would be like, I need some money this weekend. I'm going to go outside and do this money spell real quick and buy a lottery ticket. No, I'm just kidding. But, to bring things to you. And then once you've done the spell, you have it in this little satchel and you keep it somewhere. I put things on my altar a lot. You can put it anywhere in your house. The money corner of the house is going to be when you walk in your front door, all the way to the left in that corner, whatever corner that is your money corner in your house. So I could set it there. But this is just another example of what to put your stuff in when you're done with your spell items. So candle wax, the candles that I buy, these little chime candles, a lot of times they don't leave any wax behind. So they burn clean. The bigger ones, these guys, not so much. They're super duper messy, which makes for really pretty bottles when you melt them, but they're messy. So they're going to get on whatever cloth I'm burning on. Okay, so that was what to do with your spell as you clean up. I think I went through everything. Yeah, I think I went through everything. Now you're going to walk home happy and keep imagining. The best thing you can do after you've done your spell and like a day later, a week later, 3 weeks later, don't go back and question yourself on whether you did a good job, did it right. Just keep the intent strong that it's good, that you did it, that it'll happen. And that helps the spell energy continue to radiate out. It's going to radiate. So, from my little containers, every time I looked at this, I was like, keep my husband's lungs strong. He was filled with pneumonia and it was like terrifying. I was like, okay, this is your job, is to keep my husband's lungs free of gunk or whatever. So that's what I would imagine, is like his lungs clearing out always. And even when he was in the hospital, it was very hard to think to myself, to not think bad thoughts, to not think, oh my God, I could lose him. Oh my gosh, fear. Yeah. So keep thinking the result, keep thinking about the results and not the fear that it won't happen. That would probably be the last thing. The second guessing ourselves is so hard. We're so ingrained in us from school to do the right thing, have the right answer, be the best test taker, that you question yourself when there's no confirmation on whether or not you did something right or wrong. It's like, oh yeah. I always try to explain that energy is never right or wrong. It's not necessarily good or bad either. It's just energy manipulated in different ways and always return to source. So can people use it for bad? Sure. If they want to, I guess, will it come back to them? Yeah. Because that's the law of three. But for the good energy, it's the same thing. Once you've used it and it's made your life better, you got to return it so other people can use it too. That's why as you return your spell items to the earth, and if it's organic, you can bury it, you can put it in water, you can burn it. For items that you don't want to lose, like your stones, containers, things like that, you just cleanse them. You can cleanse them with sage, you can cleanse them with crystal quartz, run it over it and just say, imagine dirt falling off of it, like, okay, I clean you now. Like you can, I know I've done this in other meetups, other meetings that we've had, you guys, but Christina is new. So Christina, as I collect things from nature, one of the ways that I purpose it, and this could be with stones also that you buy, is when you hold the item in your hand and you're imagining maybe everything that it's been through in its life, where it grew from, where it came from. When I'm thinking about plants, I always think about the very first lavender plant ever and how every seed after that is from that same lavender plant. Like that's just amazing to me. So technically this isn't just one lavender plant. This is like thousands of generations of lavender plants going all the way back, and think about all the people who've ever used lavender and like the history behind that single plant coming to you. So this is, of course, is from one of our ocean birds, probably a seagull. I collect feathers when I'm at the beach all the time. I'm a feather hoarder.
Me too.
Yes, feather hoarder. That would be correct. So when I pick up a feather and I don't do anything with them other than store them, I just love them. I always, if I'm going to use it in a spell, it's an element of air. It can be a color symbol. It could be lightness and freeness from problems. So whatever you think the feather represents to you, that's what you use it for in your spell. But I always tell it to remember its purpose. And I just kind of like either talk to it, touch it on my forehead, just like my energy to your energy is saying, like, remember your purpose. This feather, Lord knows, I don't know what this bird did in his lifetime or where he went. And I don't I don't pick them up from dead things either. I know that's probably weird, but taxidermy is creepy to me. And I pick them up after they've been naturally picked off by their owners instead of something being hit by a car or something like that. I just think it's sad. So with this, it's like this feather is a wing feather and has flown through the sky for a year at least. They molt every year. So for a year, this feather was like soaring through skies over the ocean, probably, you know, pestering people at the beach and squawking and laughing at them and like all the things this little feather has seen, and the lightness of it, the fact that in a moment's notice, this bird could put his wings out and take flight. Like that's what this feather would represent to me. So when I tell it to remember its purpose, I picture it in flight on the wing of that bird, being free, seeing everything. And that's what it brings to my spells. Okay, what questions do we have?